You are holding your phone right now. The case in your hand, the buttons under your thumb, even the glossy coating on the screen, almost all of it began as oil. In Vietnam, oil workers pumped a well bone dry in the late 80s, then years later found it full again. Where does new oil come from? And is the earth quietly making more of it right now, underneath us? People have used oil for a very long time. In Mesopotamia, near modern-day Iraq, oil seeped up out of cracks in the ground 5,000 years ago.
Workers scooped up the black tar with their bare hands and sealed it onto their boats to stop the leaks. The tar was black, thick, and smelled like smoke even when nothing was burning. The Bible even names it. The Tower of Babel was built with brick and tar pulled straight from the earth. People and oil go way back, and it's still a little sticky. For most of that time, nobody asked where the tar really came from. It was just something useful that came up from under their feet, like water from a spring. Nobody thought to ask the question that would take thousands of years to even start answering.
Picture an ocean millions of years ago, thick with tiny algae and plankton, smaller than a grain of sand. When they died, their bodies drifted down and sank into the mud on the sea floor, layer after layer. Every year, a little more mud settled on top, pressing down harder than the year before. Buried deep enough, heat and pressure slow-cooked those layers into a thick black liquid. That liquid became oil, at least by the theory most scientists trust. Dead plankton, slow-cooked into fuel. In the 1930s, a German chemist named Alfred Trebs studied crude oil samples under a microscope in his lab. Inside the oil, he found tiny broken pieces of chlorophyll, the green pigment that lives inside every plant and leaf. He had just found what chemists now call a biomarker, a chemical clue that could only have come from something alive. Chemists call these leftover pieces porphyrins. Porphyrins like this later turned up in oil fields on every continent. Biomarkers don't lie. If they are packed inside the oil, something living put them there. 100-million-year-old fingerprint, and Trebs was the detective who dusted for it.
Your own body is built from that same kind of carbon right now, in every cell you have. You and the oil sitting in your phone case share the same chemical family tree. No scientist has ever watched oil form, not in a lab, not in nature, not once. Every step of the story, from dead algae to black liquid, is pieced together from clues left behind. Never something anyone has seen happen with their own eyes. Oil might be the world's slowest crime to solve.
In 1999, a scientist named Thomas Gold offered a very different answer. He had spent his career studying space, not rocks. Gold argued oil isn't made from dead life at all. He said the Earth's own deep rock cooks hydrogen and carbon together. Crushing heat and pressure brew oil from scratch, with no plankton required. In 1986, drillers in Sweden decided to test his idea. They drilled deep into the Siljan Ring. It's a giant crater punched into solid granite by an asteroid millions of years ago. Granite never held a single fossil in its life. If oil showed up down there, Gold might be right.
The Swedish drill came back with a small trace of oil, not enough to sell, not enough to settle the argument. Most scientists still leaned toward ancient life. Then, in 1988, drillers off the coast of Vietnam found something stranger. The case was open again. That year, engineers from a company called Viet Sovi Petro sailed into the South China Sea off Vietnam's coast. Their rig's metal legs braced against the waves. Below them, the drill ground down into a rock formation called Bok Ho, White Tiger. Under the mud sat solid granite, the kind of rock born from cooling magma deep inside the earth. Granite like that never came from dead sea life. Oil is supposed to rise up out of soft, buried mud, not solid stone. Yet inside that granite, the drill struck oil and kept striking it. It became the largest oil field in Vietnam's history. Today, it still produces most of the country's crude,
pulled from rock that was never supposed to hold a single drop. The oil was hiding where oil shouldn't exist. If the Earth can really brew oil fresh underground, the story isn't finished. Somewhere beneath your own feet, right now, rock could be quietly cooking the next drop. You may be standing on a process that never stopped. Oil scientists don't argue about this just for fun. They use these two theories to decide where to drill next. Search old seabeds, and they're betting on ancient life. Drill into deep granite, and they're betting the Earth never stopped cooking. So which is it? Most of the evidence still points back to ancient life. Chlorophyll fragments, matching carbon, whole ancient oceans of dead plankton pressed under mud. The evidence is deep and it is old. But fields like Bok Ho sit in rock that story cannot fully explain. Even now, rock scientists argue over what to call fields like it. Real arguments, going back decades, with no clear winner. Nobody has closed this case. The phone in your hand might not be a fossil. It might be something the Earth is still quietly making, right now, underneath you. We like to think old things are finished, done, dead, and settled into the past. But maybe nothing ever really stops becoming something else. The oil in your phone might be leftover life, or it might be new life, still forming in the dark. Either way, you are surrounded by proof that endings are rarely as final as they look. Whatever you are made of today, some part of this world is still quietly deciding what to become next. Thanks for sitting with this one. If you want the next strange, true story like this, subscribe. There's always another mystery waiting underground.